Welcome back, guys. Happy New Year. Okay, we are going to be looking at your 2021 report via your zodiac sign to see what can be coming up, warning dates, transformations, the unexpected, and the beautiful growth within the domain of both Saturn and Jupiter with that conjunction that just did transpire on the 21st of December 2020. Now, Saturn transited into Aquarius on the 17th of January, and the conjunction point, as I mentioned, occurred on the 21st of December at 0 degrees Aquarius. Now, Saturn spent approximately 2.5 years in Capricorn, and we did previously have the nodes in both Cancer and Capricorn. And I am seeing towards the end of 2020, with the full moon in Cancer and the heavy Capricorn placements in January, these themes are bouncing off in a karmic test to get that foundation right, to really get that accountability there so that all that we've learned we can apply it in this given situation within the age of Aquarius to get the best out of that astrology. Saturn connects to rules, discipline, responsibility, maturity, structure, challenges, restriction, enduring, death, the unknown, and endings. But it's really like a quality system to make sure that we're ticking all those boxes, learning those lessons, taking that direct accountability. And it's almost like the harsh karmic energy, but there's benefits in that. It's the lessons like a teach they teach us to really put that best foot forward, that if we do such with Jupiter, we can get the very best out of those placements. They can link to rights and responsibilities, obligations, false sense of freedom, and self-management. But it's really that self-mastery that it's going to teach us. And especially when it does go retrograde this year, it's a time to reflect upon what we've learned, what we've implemented, and as it goes direct to then make those changes. Theoretically, Saturn is at home in Aquarius. It's its natal ruler. Now, as I mentioned, Aquarius feels quite at home with Saturn. We also have the subcategory of Uranus being linked to it. That connects to the 12th house. So we have both the axis of the 11th and the 12th house themes coming through. Subject matters linking to Uranus and Taurus this year will be coming up because we have 3 squaring aspects. We also have at the beginning of January, Uranus and Taurus going stationary direct on the 1st and direct by the 14th. So sudden changes in those areas can be coming up in a very unexpected way. Aquarius really is the humanitarian of the zodiac sign, wanting to make the world better, looking at those social institutions that aren't working, transforming them, changing them up. The mantra is I know, and the tarot card is really linked to, with Aquarius, the star card in the tarot. The great connection of time. Saturn requires us to utilize that energy effectively, merge with that 11th house placement with where it's falling in your birth chart, which I will discuss in this video, to get the best out of the situation. And the yin yang, the push-pull energy that will be coming up is Uranus and Taurus making squaring aspects to Saturn in Aquarius. So what themes can we have coming up with Saturn in Aquarius? Definitely the energy of responsibility and accountability, and it can be very karmic if we do not follow suit with it. Now, with Uranus and Taurus, it can cause nervous energy, especially when it relates to anything of the tactile, financial related dynamics. And again, it will very much depend upon where it's situated in your chart, which I will mention. So with that, both with the 11th and the 12th house, this push-pull psychology surrounding the situations you're doing, it can be quite a burden. So having to really self-master, having to be extremely organised, and it's almost like, okay, we can see the blessings with Jupiter and Saturn being directly linked together, but what we're going to do to make those things happen, but not biting off more than we can chew, burning that midnight hour, so to speak, waking up at the crack of dawn to make that hope and dream come true. Really taking the direct steps of accountability with Saturn. And yes, with the sudden changes, it's almost the intuitive side. The house of our hidden enemies is going to be our psychology, really. What potentially could we expect? We could expect very much philosophies to come up. Humanitarianism, scientific revolution, music, dance, arts, group activities, more conducive relationships. There can be this notion coming up in 2021 and beyond where we have tribe and pack mentality. So initially we will need to adjust to the energy of Aquarius. Most, if you do study zodiac signs, Aquarius, when they're born and they're growing into that energy, initially do feel like the black sheep of the family. They have very, very firm ideals. They really do fight for the underdog. So, initially it can feel like they're on the outside with those burdens and responsibilities. As we move into this, a lot of us can embody some of that frequency, and it can feel very foreign and alienating initially. But again, with the psychology of the 12th house, we do need to really have a goal in mind. That can be for the bigger picture, where we are learning to have alliances, learning to work together. And it can be due to circumstances that do happen in our own lives personally, or on a wider scale, a global situation that is pulling us together to make us directly work with each other. The old theme of there's no I in team. So, yes, initially pack mentality can come through, but then understanding that for survival will be there's a no I in team, and really being open to that transformation. So I do see a lot of alliances. I do see a lot of people bridging gaps, finding unique ways to work with each other. This can be in collaborations. It can be to do with wider group situations. However it's going to play out, it's almost like we're in the Middle Ages moving to the modern ages. So we're the paved way in this point in time where, yes, in astrology, some do deem this as the recession, but there's the separate energy of the steps that we're taking to move out of this. There can be beautiful aspects. With Jupiter mid-year, it is moving and retrograding back into Pisces. Again, it will be very Uranian energy. Our psychology, time to reflect upon that. With our growth, are we on point? Do we need to look at something differently? Are we getting stuck in our heads? Are we putting our actual action and best foot forward? That will be the time that for a lot of us, it can be a little bit testing, but it's deeply informative also because we will have the time to assess such. So before I mention how this will affect your zodiac sign, I will mention the key dates that we need to mark on a calendar. And that is for Saturn and Aquarius will be direct between the 1st of January through to May the 23rd. By that point, all of your actions, especially when it does link to Jupiter, and I will mention Jupiter dates as well, we will have approximately 6 months really to get buckle down and get these things done. So I really did say, moving into January, it will be really hit the ground running to monopolize upon the Saturn-Jupiter energy to get the best out of your chart. Now, it will be going retrograde from May the 23rd. And it is at 13 degrees Aquarius, and it will stay retrograde until October the 11th. So you can find frustrations and reflection upon that accountability from a karmic point of view around that time, and then applying the changes as it goes direct from October the 11th at 6 degrees until January 2022. That will be at 11 degrees. Beautiful Sagittarius, let's have a look at 2021 and a little bit beyond, because we do have Saturn in Aquarius till 2023. Now the major areas is the 3rd house placement. Now we also have the nodes in your zodiac sign, so a lot about yourself, being that your 1st house placement is linked to the south node, can be transforming. You are very Jupiter by energy, so both Jupiter at the moment will be developing that communication style, that movement, how you're showing up, networking, marketing, advertising. Whatever industry you're in, you can have lead roles in communicating and bringing groups together. Utilizing this will have a lot of responsibility, but it will teach you what that responsibility can bring in the growth sector for you when it does pertain to both Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius. this can be the importance of actually managing people. So, you know, with working in that domain, learning from them learning from you, but it can be pack and tribe mentality, as I mentioned, moving into 2021, where we're looking at things and the importance of team orientated activities. So depending on the field you're working in, having to network, having to look at the bigger picture, maybe what's occurring on the collective, you know, how that directly is impacting the industry, the work domain, or again, your communication technique. It also can denote attaining new goods linked to the third house placement. And if you're wanting those things, cars, technology, computers, networking, marketing, advertising, blogging, whatever that be, new items, telephones, all of those things, you do have a 6-month window to develop and grow, and you will be learning a lot from those placements. But again, Saturn requires us to take that responsibility. It can feel very burdensome at times, but it's taking the steps, moving through the energy, and it will develop you. Yes, with the 12th house, we can get, you know, a little bit disorientated, feeling very agitated, but you'll have the time to reflect upon it. You'll find it'll be go, go, go pretty much all the way through to May the 23rd. And that's because we have Saturn in Aquarius direct until May the 23rd, where it will go shadow retrograde. We also do have Jupiter direct until June the 20th, where we will look at those areas also. Now, Saturn in Aquarius transit dates, before we move on to Jupiter, we are having Saturn in Aquarius direct from the 1st of January till May the 23rd, where it will go stationary retrograde on May the 23rd at 13 degrees Aquarius through till October the 11th at 6 degrees Aquarius. Now, the direct motion of this will be from October the 11th at 6 degrees through to January 2022 at 11 degrees. Okay, as for Jupiter, now I'm really looking at the charts, and with these placements, we did have, as I mentioned, the conjunction point with Saturn and Jupiter, and that was on the 21st in December 2020. Now, what we have moving forward are some beautiful aspects, but we really need to monopolize upon it, and this is going to take a great deal of accountability with that vision. So with Jupiter, it's showing the vision, it's giving us the energy, it's giving us the opportunities, but we will need to take direct accountability. And we do have a window pocket. Now, in the initial stages, moving into 2021, we have most of the planets direct. We have Uranus and Taurus going stationary direct by the 1st and out of shadow by the 14th. So with Jupiter and Saturn, we have until about the end of January. And then even by mid-January, we're going to be in shadow stage of Mercury going retrograde, and it will be in the house of Aquarius. So it will both link to these big boys in the sky and reflecting upon what all this energy means between Saturn and Jupiter and what we're going to do with it, what some of these themes are. And very much, as I mentioned before, with Aquarius, it can feel like the black sheep of the family. It can be pack and tribe mentality. It's wanting to have this innovation and change, and it's all for the people, but sometimes we can feel like the odd one out. So adjusting to this can take a little bit of time, so it's perfect that we will be having a Mercury retrograde going into shadow by about mid-January and then retrograde by the end of January. So moving into 2021, a bit of reflection on all the placements we hold within our zodiac signs where Aquarius lands, which I have mentioned and I'll continue to. How it's going to affect us, tuning into it. Now, contracts, signing of anything, there can be complications. There can also be additional information coming towards you, especially when it does come to group endeavors and growth. It can be not the best time to launch projects. Far better to, if you are going to launch anything relating to Aquarius, with both Saturn and Jupiter in those placements, better to wait till after Mercury direct. Okay, so the must-know dates with Jupiter. Jupiter is making two transitional points. One, it will be in Aquarius until June 20th, where it does move into Pisces, and we will get a very different energy. And around these dates, it's very important to pay attention to what some of these themes are, because Jupiter will be entering Aquarius again towards the 1st of January, which can be taking on those themes, and it will be at 0 degrees. So initially, we will have Jupiter direct from January the 1st at 2 degrees Aquarius until June the 20th. Now, it's pretty much a month after Saturn would have already been well and truly retrograde. We still have Jupiter direct, so it will land on June the 20th. Then with the retrograde, it's retrograde between the 20th of June at 2 degrees Pisces. Keep an eye on those dates till October the 18th at 22 degrees Aquarius. Now, as it moves direct on October the 18th, it will be in Aquarius until the end of the year, where it will yet again enter. So we have the retrograde point at the middle of the year. As I mentioned, pay attention to those dates, and that should hold you through. Now, we'll talk about how it's going to link to your zodiac sign, what these themes can be.
Okay, Sagittarius, your Aquarius placement is within your third house. Your third house can be anything to do with your communication, your self-expression. It can be your movement, very similar to Mercury. So that will be there from the beginning of January through to June the 20th, where it will retrograde into Pisces, which will be your fourth house. Now, fourth house can be home-related dynamics. It can be wanting to purchase a home, tuning into that, your daily routine, where is everything at? Where is the psychology of the family, for instance? What are the domestic situations going on? So during that retrograde, it will be from June the 20th at 2 degrees Pisces until October the 18th, where it will transit back into Aquarius at 22 degrees. So you really have from the beginning of the year, from the 1st of January, where it's 2 degrees Aquarius, to really focus on the third house placement. Now, third house placement can be acquiring vehicles, really putting your best foot forward within your career sector, learning to communicate within tribe, networking, marketing, advertising, putting your resumes out. And again, if you're going to do anything to that degree, make sure you do it in the last 2 weeks of 2020, moving into January 2021. And that's the first 2 weeks due to the fact that Mercury is going to retrograde in Aquarius. So you can have a time of reflection. You may find that there can be more crosswires when it does come to the way you communicate. So try and be patient with that. And we will mention further on in this video those Mercury retrograde effects and how they will directly impact you. So anything paperwork and documentation related that you're needing to do, really try and get that done by mid-month January, because we will have Mercury going retrograde. So it'll be in its shadow cycle, but it will directly impact that. Let's have a look at Uranus and Taurus. Now, it will be stationary shadow by the 1st of January 2021 at 6 degrees Taurus. It then will be direct by the 14th of January at 6 degrees Taurus. Now, the direct motion will be pretty much from January 14th through to August the 20th, where it will be at 14 degrees Taurus. So we have that pocket between January and August where we can have that direct movement with anything that we've reflected upon, all those changes that may have occurred. And the changes can be coming up in the first 2 weeks of January. And although we do have 3 squaring aspects this year with Saturn and Uranus and Taurus, I am feeling, although major astrologers are discussing the fact that we're going to have 3 major shifts when it does come to Uranus and Taurus squaring Saturn in Aquarius, I really do feel the beginning of the year is going to give us this theme of what potentially can come through. And I will discuss dates very much linking into these energies, during the year and, throughout. So the retrograde, the next retrograde cycle is between August the 20th at 14 degrees Taurus and January the 1st at 10 degrees Taurus 2022. Now, the first point of the squaring aspect that we are experiencing will be February the 17th. Now, with that, we will already have Mercury retrograde in Aquarius. It would, by mid-January, we will be having those shadow aspects plus Uranus and Taurus is in shadow cycle. So it can be, again, pretty much anywhere from the 1st till the 14th and the 17th. There can be sudden changes and difficulties when it does come to Aquarius and Taurus placements.
Now, the second part of Uranus and Taurus squaring Saturn will be on June the 14th. Now, Saturn in Aquarius will be retrograde from May the 23rd till October the 11th. We also will have Jupiter in shadow during this time, moving into retrograde into Pisces by June the 20th. By this point, prior to the squaring aspect occurring with both Uranus and Taurus and Saturn and Aquarius, we would have had the annular solar eclipse, the new moon in Gemini at 19 degrees. And we also have Pluto in Capricorn retrograde between April the 27th and October the 6th at 24 degrees Capricorn. So, you know, with this phase during June the 14th, you can find again, major themes to do with the eclipse can be cycling, and that's due to the fact that we have the North Node in Gemini, and this is a brand new moon, so it will be an ending and a new beginning. When it comes to Jupiter, the reflection state and the shadow cycle of that will be moving into effect, so we'll already be feeling that by this point, by the time we have Uranus and Taurus squaring Saturn and Aquarius. And on top of that, just to make things really, really nice, we would have already had Saturn retrograde. So it's the reflection time. It's the frustration of, okay, where hadn't we taken accountability when it relates to the Aquarius placement? Is it something financial? Is it something in a value system, spiritually? However it's playing out, I'll link it to you. Once I finish these three aspects, we will discuss, you know, how this is going to affect us all. Okay, now December 24th, we do have Uranus and Taurus squaring Saturn in Aquarius. Now, there are major themes on this month occurring that will directly kind of impact this one zone. So we do need to look at those before we do look at Uranus and Taurus squaring Saturn in Aquarius. Now, number one, Uranus and Taurus will still be retrograde, and that's until January 2022. It went retrograde August the 20th at 14 degrees Taurus until, as I mentioned, January 2022. We also, on the 4th of December, had a solar eclipse, new moon in Sagittarius. So it's an ending in one domain and a brand new beginning in another. The other area we need to be mindful of is that Aries and Chiron is stationary direct. It should still be in shadow. By this time, it went direct as of the 19th, but there still can be, you know, this lag and recuperation that we're trying to get. On top of that, we have the Sun in Capricorn. So yeah, really having to look at that accountability within our lives, utilizing that energy that we had at the beginning of the year and looking at things to do with our accountability, showing up. It can be government related dynamics, but the accountable energy and going back to that foundational level. Mars also is going to be in Sagittarius, so both with the eclipse and with Mars, it's really pushing towards those new Jupiter energies in a very unique way. Now, Aquarius is the polarity of the collective. It's the it's the person that understands, or energy rather, we should say. It's the collective energy that will be coming through, but it's the humanitarian. It's groups forming, it's the people, so to speak. So wherever it's falling in your chart, it's going to be deeply important. Now, Uranus and Taurus understands the requirements for the structures, but also is understanding the necessity for change when it does come to Uranus and Taurus. So we need a balance of both worlds, but there can be complications surrounding those energies. And as Uranus and Taurus goes direct, and it kind of matches because we'll have Venus retrograde in Capricorn, the Sun in Capricorn, putting your energy into that to make these things happen. Mars in Sagittarius, the solar eclipse that occurred, which was a new moon, and for the next 6 months we can have activations on that point, plus Uranus and Taurus squaring on the 24th. So do expect either side and pretty much the entirety of the month, you know, being prepared, looking at those placements, working on those areas so that when it does come to the squaring aspects, you're in alignment. Now, sudden changes can happen with placements linking to Uranus and Taurus, and it can be instantly. Now, this can happen anytime either side of this month due to the fact that the energy of its squaring is occurring on the 24th, but because it's retrograde, any inklings you have, and I'll name the dates again, between August the 20th, be prepared. Start looking at those things that need changing. Yes, sudden changes may have happened around then. It can give you an idea as to what can be coming up right now, and start implementing them before that time. Really use those times in the retrograde effect to implement those changes of where those, tension points were in life, so that when it does come to that point, you're not going to have a very tense Christmas. Now, because we're having Aries and Chiron direct, yes, our wounds are relating to an area, but we can't allow our wounds to stand in our way. And it's beneficial that it's direct. We can have a little bit more energy moving out of our way, so to speak. That's why it's there for, for the 7 years, is to help us develop that. But looking at the key themes of both Taurus and Aquarius to get the best out of it, and trying to find the yin and yang. Now, Taurus collectively can relate to land, agriculture, beauty, our finances, food, resources, and Aquarius is the wider group energy of the people. Again, it can be institutions, it can be viewpoints, it can be value systems, helping one another, sometimes to the detriment of ourselves. So it's going to be this fine line, and even moving into the beginning of 2021, really adjusting to that. And the benefit will be that we'll have that pocket time to kind of ease into it, but it can feel a bit like it's thrown upon us. So bear in mind there can be tension points there. Any themes that come up around August, pay very close attention. Fine tune them, move them so that you're protected. I'd probably say if you want to store, get your Christmas presents in order well and truly before the end of the year. Start, paying for those things little by little so that it's not going to agitate the apple cart. That can be wherever, again, which I will talk about for your zodiac signs during the year and inside this video separately, where we can discuss what can be coming up for you. Oh, Sag, let's have a look at your energy for Uranus and Taurus squaring Saturn and Aquarius. Now, on the 17th, this will connect into your 3rd house and your 6th house, and communication is going to be the key. There can be some difficulty with your responsibilities, frustrations linking to the 6th house placement, and that can be to do with your work habits, your routines, information being missed, the responsibility, whose responsibility is what, with the 3rd house placement. It can even be your having to go coming and going quite a bit and being super busy. Now, you do need to be careful, and this is pre-warned for 3rd house placement with Aquarius. Now, we're going to have Mars moving into Taurus. Now, this will link to your 6th house placement. Be super careful on the road between January and March the 3rd. And that's due to the fact that you have that 6th house placement of health, work, and it can be at work. Be careful. Pay attention to what you're doing. Make sure quality systems are in order, especially because we're going to be having Mercury retrograde in Aquarius relating to your 6th house placement. This can be health, it can be accidents, there's Mars there. Be super careful. Pre-warned, forearmed. Confusion, misinformation, whose job's what, that can be coming up. So try and be patient with it. But be super careful when it does come to your cognitive energy, because it's going to be more imbalanced during that time. So, as I mentioned, forearmed, forewarned. Paperwork you need to get done. Get it done in the first 2 weeks of January, because we will have Mercury going into shadow retrograde by mid-month, and it will be there till February 21st. So paperwork, documentation, anything you're needing to sign, get it done in the first 2 weeks if you can. Go, go, go. Be cognitively aware though. You'll have Mars in Taurus, so focus on accountability, work, habits, routine, eating healthy, and getting that documentation done. Okay, we then have the second stage, which is June 14th. Uranus and Taurus squaring Saturn. Similar energies. You will have your 6th house placement and your 3rd house. as long as you're moving through this transit, the changes you're needing to make can be relating to your stress levels, healthy boundaries with individuals, money related dynamics, making that money work for you, not you working for the money. We do need to work for the money, but we really need to do that swapping of energy, which can be heart chakra activation. When it does come to healthy boundaries, your health, your daily routine, balancing that, we can be our own worst enemy when it does come to our stress levels. And especially with Aquarius being in the 3rd house, and the fact that we're going to have at that point Saturn retrograde until October, during the 14th of June, this can make that whole 3rd house placement very difficult. So there can be a lot of reflection relating to your daily routine, your movement, communication, thinking, okay, was that my job or was that another person's job? Because Aquarius is the bigger group. It can be management of those groups. It can be group-related dynamics and crosswires occurring. But it's the reflection during that time and the frustration. Again, healthy boundaries. And usually a healthy boundary is with ourselves. It's like, okay, did I allow that to happen? Was that my side? Was I, did I just give in to that? And it can be having one too many coffees to cope with your stress levels, when really it's like, okay, can I be more productive tomorrow and wake up at the crack of dawn than do I, burn that midnight hour? So you really have to pay close attention to your schedule, your routine, getting things done, being organised to give yourself that reprieve and to focus on healthy habits to get the best out of your body like a battery. Now, Jupiter during this time will be going to shadow, so pay attention to what's coming up with that growth stage, because Pisces will be coming through and it can be home-related dynamic. This can be very unique, and you can actually have this little bird's eye view of your hopes and dreams when it does come to what you would need to change in your home. For some of you, at a very basic level, it can be, okay, I really want to have a grand home. I want to have a home of my dreams. I want to buy a home. I want to move home. Separately, it can be your routine. What you would need to do to fine-tune that. Could it be living closer to work? Could it be working from home? But whatever it is, it's the 4th house placement. It can give you a subject matter linking to your health and linking to your communication and your whole life, how it's all kind of falling apart. If that's what's happening, what that psychological foundation is based on. It can either be home or a belief system, but getting your routine in order during that transit will deeply benefit you when it does come to your career, your goals, your hopes, your aspirations, and movement. Separately, during that stage of Jupiter retrograde into Pisces, it will give you themes of what 2022 can be. And big changes can be coming up relating to your home and your routine, and they can be those things of your dreams. We also had a new moon in Gemini, which was a solar eclipse in June. And for you, this will link to a contract, a partnership, movement in your connection, a brand new beginning, tying up loose ends, as well as we have Pluto in Capricorn retrograde until October the 6th at 24 degrees Capricorn. So for you, Capricorn links to your assets, your net worth value, your self-esteem, also money coming in. But it's tying up loose ends so that can happen. It's what to do with your resources, what to do with your professional resources. What do you cut out from your resume? What do you need? What don't you need? And that can be in life, and it's a quality system you'll be assessing. So yes, on the June 14th can be difficulties. Pay attention to what comes up. Some clarity can come as to what to change to get the best out of the rest of this year. Okay, now December the 24th, the day before Christmas. Great, right? Okay, we're going to have Uranus and Taurus squaring Saturn and Aquarius. Taurus is linking to, again, health, your work routine, your working environment, other people, healthy boundaries, pets, as well as Saturn in Aquarius links to communication, movement, daily routine, thoughts, speech, technology, responsibilities, because it's Saturn. Now, inside of this, Uranus and Taurus will be retrograde, deep reflection on health, healthy boundaries. It's going to be retrograde until 2022. We also had a solar eclipse, new moon in Sagittarius, which is very first house placement for you. You're like, okay, what do I do? I need to change these things about. I feel different to what I did at the beginning of the year. And it can feel like a soul walk-in. We would have had Aries and Chiron moving stationary direct on the 19th, which is to do with romance, children, luck, creative endeavors. That's where your wounds link, right? Look at that and try not to stand in your way. Believe in yourself and know that you can do this. Is there a thought process, a belief system that with that solar eclipse in Sagittarius, it's somehow you've had that light bulb moment and said, okay, I'm just not going to do that. Now, Mars is in Sagittarius, so you could be burning that midnight hour, getting a lot of things done. When it's in your sign, it can be go, go, go. It's almost like we have Jupiter back in Sagittarius with that. But it can also be people's expectations on you, and maybe sometimes how, you know, you wish you had that equal, and it's getting you into that equal energy. So on the 19th, yes, we have Aries and Chiron going stationary direct. We also have Venus going retrograde in Capricorn. It's like, what a beautiful Valentine's Day, right? So we can feel really nostalgic during Christmas. Very intuitively thinking about luxuries. We need to be careful about too much toxicity. This can be around that Christmas time because you have Taurus in the 6th. So pay attention to that. Please be careful. Look after your health. Indulgences can come up, but you'll be reflecting upon those things. Are they benefiting you, or are they affecting you and taking you backwards? Are they taking from your frequency, or are they giving it to you? And it can play out in many different ways. Now, Capricorn will link to your wealth, okay? Your self-esteem, your wealth. And I see it in two ways, and it is within as without. You're changing, or your circumstances in 2022 are changing. But it's what are those things to change? Your finances can grow. You need to look at the good, the bad, and the ugly in the beautiful Venus retrograde. Some opportunities from the past relating to contracts can come back. Try not to sign anything until January 2022, because we can end up with Venus retrograde, get buyer's remorse. Play it out. If you can, sit on it. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. You know, I'm looking at the astrology. Marriages, contracts, partnerships, linking to your income, what you can give, what other people give. Look at that. If you are going to sign a contract, not that it's Mercury retrograde, but it's Venus retrograde. So don't buy into anything, you know, experience it. You need to look at these things. Whatever comes back is meant to come back to be viewed so it can change you energetically. Okay, last but not least, pay attention to vices. Biggest warning for December the 24th would be don't overindulge the day before Christmas, especially when it comes to prank calls and things like that. Yeah, just pay attention to that. Now, I'm only going to briefly touch on Pluto in Capricorn because it is sort of counteracted by Saturn and Jupiter. So it will ease up. We have had a lot of heavy placements. Now, January can be a large point of this, and December, because we have a lot of placements there. Plus, when the retrograde effects happens, I check in with you month by month, and I do give you the daily updates. Now, the direct cycle will be from January the 1st at 24 degrees Capricorn. And we're having a Mercury retrograde shadow period by mid-month. So that can be anything Aquarian related, what we need to tie up, miscommunication crosswise. But anything relating to those loose ends, get paperwork done in the first 2 weeks. And you pretty much got through to April 27th. Now, by April, anything relating to that Capricorn placement, there can be reflection upon those things, refinement, and that will be from April the 27th at 26 degrees. The higher in the degree point it gets, the more critical the aspect. We're doing 24, and 0. There's certain critical degree points that can be pretty harsh. So retrograde as of April the 27th through to October the 6th at 24 degrees Capricorn. Then from October the 6th through to January 1st, it will be direct, and it goes retrograde again, 2022. Okay, Sage. Now, Pluto is connecting in with your second house placement of your professional resources, your self-esteem, your possession, your net worth value, your alliances. Now, this is set to transform, and all that heavy hitting placements that was affecting your income potentially and your ability to grow and bounce back, all of those changes you made can be coming up for review again in January 2021, but it's not there to punish you. It's there to show you what do you need to let go of, and that can be tying up bills, getting taxes in order and things to that degree, because it's Pluto, it's 8th house placement also. But by doing these things, it can come up again during the retrograde effect mid-year, reflection upon what needs to be transformed and let go of and tied up, and then yet again when Venus retrogrades at the end of the year through Capricorn for the third time. Now, it will go direct in January 2022, and themes can play out again in January 2022. But the benefit is we have both Saturn and Jupiter really counteracting it to take the pressure off. So you can see growth in this area. Okay, let's have a look at Neptune and Pisces. Two things to mention before I get into the dates of the directs and the retrogrades is I will mention the astrology during the month, how these things are playing out for you week by week, as well as Jupiter is going to be transiting mid-year into Pisces. So this will be a double whammy for Neptune and Pisces. We're also going to have, let me have a look at the charts for Mars. Okay, more towards October and December, there can be these things coming up, but let's have a look at the dates. Now, on January the 1st, we will have Neptune direct until June the 25th at 23 degrees Pisces. Its retrograde date is June the 25th till the 1st of December. So there can be deep reflection in this area, which again, I do remember we do have Uranus and Taurus squaring Saturn and Aquarius around that time. So it'll be retrograde till then, going stationary direct. And again, it can be sometimes quite slow moving. So any of those areas that maybe you haven't launched, transform, change, or the house that it's linking to, which I'll talk about shortly, there can be tension points there. Now, it will be pretty much direct from the beginning of December through till the end of this year into 2022. And it'll be at 20 degrees Pisces. Let's have a look at the placements. Okay, Sag. Now, Neptune relates to your 4th house placement on this occasion due to the fact it's in Pisces. And it will be direct from the 1st of January through to June the 25th, 2021. Okay. The one point I can say is anything home related, due to the fact Mercury is going kind of shadow retrograde by mid-January, anything home related or documentation, tax, paperwork, get all of those things done in the first 2 weeks of January. After that, window energies relating to paperwork, documentation, movement, they can be problematic, and that's due to the fact we're going to have Mercury retrograding in your 3rd house. It can create confusion and contention. So making sure that point is all done and dusted, it can balance things out. Now, you can have less stress relating to this. Also, when it does come to Pisces, we're going to have Jupiter retrograding into Pisces mid-year, and themes to do with home can be growing. You can have a little bit of a bird's eye view into what you're wanting to do and achieve, and that can give you some insight into what you would need to change in the 3rd house placement of communication, movement, the way you're showing up in the world. You have Aquarius there, both in Saturn and Jupiter, and Jupiter's retrograding into Pisces. So again, your hopes, dreams, and aspirations, the castle you want to live in, if you want to make those changes, what you could do to actually put your best foot forward to have that anywhere between now and 2022. Now, it's going to come up more so in 2022 where that can be developed. You can be learning a lot at the moment and transforming, but there's a lot of growth here. So, tedious energies can come up mid-year, but that's during the retrograde, but it's not more to reflect upon it. Okay, let's have a look at Mercury retrograde. Now, Mercury is going retrograde 3 times this year. And some of these subjects we need to look at because they're going to highlight different places of our chart It will be direct from the 1st of January until mid-month. Now, we're going to get that shadow cycle, and it's going to be in the house of Aquarius. Now, this is going retrograde as of the 30th, but mid-month you can feel some of those shadow aspects. So it will be pretty much from January the 30th at 26 degrees Aquarius, retrograde until February the 21st at 11 degrees. Now, that's most of February. So if there's anything paperwork related or wherever that falls in your house, pay attention to that retrograde cycle, and it can cause some frustration. Now, from there, it will be direct from February the 21st, 11 degrees Aquarius, until May the 29th at 24 degrees Gemini. Now, a lot of subjects relating to Gemini will come up during the next retrograde cycle, and that is between May the 29th, 24 degrees Gemini. Remember, we've got the North Node in Gemini, until September the 27th, 25 degrees Libra. Okay, from that point we have the direct motion, and that will be from October the 18th, 10 degrees Libra, until January 2022, 28 degrees Capricorn. So a lot more Capricorn themes coming up in January 2022. So what themes can be coming up? Now, the first retrograde is Aquarius energy. Pay attention to that cycle between January and February. The next retrograde is between May and June, and it's in the house of Gemini. The third one is between September and October, and it's in the house of Libra. So again, I will talk about this for your zodiac sign. Food for thought, remember these dates. Okay, Sag, let's quickly move through these to give you the houses that these Mercury retrogrades are occurring at. Now, by mid-January, shadow energy will come through of Aquarius. Okay, that's Mercury retrograde in Aquarius, third house placement. Pay attention to driving, miscommunication, buying any IT related devices. Get your receipts, try and wait till after. That can be the 21st. Any documentation you need, caution with communication, double check your emails, double check anything you're doing. And again, it can be very busy and frustrating. So it goes retrograde the 30th of January. You'll get the shadow cycle mid-January, and it goes direct from February the 21st. The next phase is Gemini. Now, these will be all subjects relating to your 7th house placement. Now, the North Node's there, which really amplifies this during Mercury retrograde to reflect upon these areas. And it can be that everyone's wanting a piece of you, more busy, miscommunication. Bear in mind that during that time, conflict can arise due to tension and stress. Also, when it does come to 7th house placement, it can relate to contracts. Pay attention to the fine print. Now, as that goes direct, you can have some reprieve, and that's from June the 22nd. The last one for the year is going to be in the house of Libra, and this can be a very busy time when it does come to building those hopes and dreams, getting those things off the ground, your social activities, your friendship groups, hopes, dreams, and aspirations. If those things are taking time, between this retrograde, missing information can come to you. Not particularly a great time during the shadow cycle or the retrograde. Wait till after if you can. And that is from September the 27th till the 18th of October. Okay, beautiful Sagittarius, let's have a look at Mars transits for 2021. Now, number one, we will not have a Mars retrograde. Number two, yes, we still have Aries and Chiron in that placement, and I'll talk about it during the year. However, it is linking to your 5th house placement. So self-mastery relating to the 5th house placement can deactivate those wounds so they can't prevent you from moving forward. This can be sometimes, 5th house placement can be romance, it can be children, it can be creative ideas, it can be, really enjoying those niceties in life. It's getting those things under control, but it's not allowing those things to hold you back. And sometimes it can be balancing life. So let's have a look at where that pressure is coming off. Number one, pressure is in that area at the moment. 5th house placement, creative projects, intimacy, relationships, children. It can be the birthing of children during that cycle also. Now, Mars moves out of Aries from the 6th of January into Taurus. Now, subjects relating to healthy boundaries, your health, your work, and how you've shown up can be coming into play, and really transforming that. If you have worked incredibly hard, you're going to have a lot of energy between January the 6th and March the 3rd to rectify and transform these areas, getting health in order. From March the 3rd till April the 23rd, subjects relating to marriages, contracts, partnerships. This can even be, what are you going to do to make that happen? What are you going to do to bring those things together? How can you create that balance? As well as it is the North Node in Gemini. Again, pay attention to being super busy because it is Mercury energy, and crosswise in communication can occur. So, use the Mars in a healthy fashion. Between April 23rd and June the 11th, we have a transit in Cancer. And for you, this is anything to do with paperwork, taxation, legacies, inheritances, and deepening the connections you're in. This can also be net worth value, building upon what you directly have inside of your employment or your connections. Now, from June the 11th till July the 29th, we have a transiting Leo, and this will be subjects to do with long distance travel, communicating with people at afar, getting those things in order, looking at the bigger picture, upskilling, educating. Again, most of that 9th house placement can be done in short stints of higher education. You can find when Jupiter transits into Pisces next year, it can be highly benefited. So, gauge where it is. You've probably got about 2 months worth of energy in that placement. But again, schooling, education, upskilling, traveling, belief systems, media can be coming up with this placement. So however it's landing in your life, utilizing the 9th house effectively until July the 29th. From there, we're having a deep focus on the 10th house placement. 10th house is employment, seeking employment, moving towards it, transforming it, pouring energy in. Again, patience at work. Now, from September the 14th, you have a transiting Libra, and this can be a very social time, bringing your friends together, hopes and dreams and aspirations. And again, getting those things off the ground can be very, very busy. Now, from October the 30th through till December the 13th, you have the 12th house. It's time to declutter the mind. Has there been something on your mind? Is it really churning? Do you need to unwind and de-stress? Is there something you can do to effectively transform that? Could be counseling, could be speaking about these things, journaling, doing guided meditation, finding healthy ways of dealing with stress-related dynamics. Be careful during this time because it is 12th house. However, this can be a very spiritual process for you, and it can be very busy where people are coming to you, for your insight and input. As we move to December the 13th, that transits your first house of Sagittarius, and this can be a very invigorating time. You will feel more energized, as well as we have the eclipse during that time. And I believe that's occurring on the 4th of December in Sagittarius. It's a total solar eclipse, a new moon in Sagittarius at 12 degrees. So you can be really turning over a new leaf and making life happen. I'll see you live during the month. Let's get into the rest. Last points, Venus retrograde. Now that is occurring December the 19th until January the 1st. The other point I do want to mention is Chiron and Aries. Now that retrograde is occurring from July the 15th at 12 degrees Aries until December the 19th, 8 degrees Aries. So pay attention to those times. You can feel a little bit fatigued during that time and irritable, linking to the 8th house. But because we have Mars transiting other signs, subjects relating to Sagittarius will come up towards December due to the fact we have the eclipse. Okay, as for your eclipse dates, we have the eclipse in May the 26th, a total lunar eclipse, which is a full moon in Sagittarius at 5 degrees. We then have an eclipse in June 10th, which is an annular solar eclipse, new moon in Gemini at 19 degrees. And then November the 19th, it's a partial lunar eclipse, full moon in Taurus at 27 degrees. And then finally, In December, on the 4th, we have a total solar eclipse, which is a new moon in Sagittarius at 12 degrees. Again, I will follow these live for all your up-to-date information and energy relating to the astrology. So if you have listened through this far, thank you very much. Take care, beautifuls. I'll see you soon. Again, if you do want a booking, the link is below. I'll see you during all the super chats and the live updates during the month, and we'll check in at the next stop to see how your zodiac sign's going. Love and light, guys. See you soon.